Hello, Heartland members. Jim Haisler, CEO here, bringing to you another episode of the video series. So this is about the lawsuits, but it's not about the lawsuits. So the question comes to me now about what should we do now that the lawsuits have been resolved? Well, first, of course, the lawsuit has not been resolved. Yes, the jury came back with a verdict, but we are far from having this be an end-all done deal. So what do you do in the meantime? How does this affect you? And really the answer is how you discuss agency with your clients. Nothing has changed with regard to that. You need to have a conversation with your sellers about seller agency, your buyers about buyer agency. You should be disclosing what dual agency is. You may even be disclosing what no agency is. So you have to have those agency conversations like you've already always been required anyhow. What I want to make sure you realize is that you should also be having the conversation about how much commission you charge, who's paying that commission, and where that money comes from. Now let's start with the last one. So where does the money come from? We could easily argue that the money comes from the transaction, and that's probably the best way to look at this. You could say, well, isn't the buyer really bringing the money that funds the whole closing? So isn't the buyer really paying everybody's commission? That's an argument. You could also say, well, isn't the seller the one who determines in consult with their seller's agent the amount of commissions that both the seller's agent and the buyer's agent are likely going to get paid? So isn't the seller determining this? Okay. And you could argue, well, doesn't the buyer's agent really get paid through the listing agent? So isn't the listing agent the one paying this? Okay, good argument. So I don't know that there's a solid answer for who's paying it. So if I were an agent in today's market, I would probably be explaining to my clients how the process works, and that likely my commission would be paid through the transaction. But you need to make sure you have a conversation with your clients about how much commission you are looking to earn. So your company may want to use the buyer agency disclosure forms. We would recommend you use those with all clients. And of course, the key piece being, if you're going to use them with any client, you should use them with all clients. That doesn't mean everybody has to sign them. That means if you're going to utilize them, that you need to have that same conversation with everybody unilaterally. All right, I think you get that point. So how much commission are you going to charge? That is completely up to you, as it has always been. Nothing has changed there. Commissions have always been negotiable. We recognize that commissions are negotiable even up until closing day sometimes. We recognize that sometimes your commissions even get modified at the closing table. So commissions are always negotiable. I know you know that, but this is recording, so I've got to be clear on that. And of course, Heartland is not recommending how much commission you get paid, how much you charge, anything. That's not our business. You in your office should make independent business decisions about that. I know you know it, but I'm being recorded. All right. So how much are you charging? You should utilize a form for that. Illinois Realtors has Form 338, the buyer's agency agreement, and 338A. One of them has dual agency, one of them doesn't have dual agency. So absolutely reach out, grab that form. You can get it through Heartland's site. You can go to IR and pick it up. Utilize that form if you'd like to utilize buyer agency agreements, and we are not requiring you to do so. This is an office's independent business decision. So you need to have those conversations. How much is being paid? Who's paying it? And where does the money come from? So have that conversation with your buyers. Now, what I really want to talk about was this piece. So what's going to happen when you have a buyer agency agreement signed, assuming that you do, it is for X number of dollars. I'm not even going to mention a number. And the listing might be offering less. It might be 0, it might be 1, it might be $1 short of what your agreement is. It doesn't matter if it's short, whatever amount it is short. You need to make sure that your client is aware of how your company works, what your fees are, and the options that are available. And there are options, more than one, for if the amount of commission in a buyer agency agreement is more than what the listing is paying through to you, you need to have a conversation, and you have some options. And some of those options include possibly not showing the property to them, but that's not your decision to make. That's your client's decision to make. So a conversation might sound something like, so remember when we signed the buyer's agency agreement and we talked about the amount of money that I'm going to make? And I mentioned to you that some homes in the MLS may not be paying that amount, and that if that situation came up, I would come back to you. Well, that's the scenario we have here. There's a home that just came on the market. It looks really good for you, but the commission they're offering is less than the amount that we agreed upon. And you should probably tell them the exact dollar amount. Obviously, for educational purposes here, we're not going to use dollar amounts. And then have that conversation and say, so this home is coming up with less money. So we have some options. One option is, and I don't recommend this option, but it is out there for you. We cannot show you this home. I don't think that's the best thing for you, but that is an option. Another option might be that we could go back to the seller. If this home is one you're interested in buying, we could go back to the seller through the seller's agent and see if they're willing to pay my commission through the transaction as a part of a qualified price on the home. So if we pay them you pay them an appropriate amount of money for the home, that my commissions might be included in that. So that could be worked out. Or third is you could pay me the commissions directly through my brokerage, of course, and we could handle it that way outside of closing or possibly even through the closing. So those are some of the options that we would like to go with that are available to you. What would you like to do in this scenario? And you need to ask them that. How would you, buyer, like to handle this, and get that direction from them? You give them advice, they give you direction. Good. Now, my disclosure, I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice. This is just my opinion based on my knowledge and experience in the industry. If you have more questions on this, we're happy to have conversations. I've been out to a lot of offices, answering a lot of questions. Happy to have that conversation. I've been doing real estate for nearly 30 years, a master's degree in real estate. I think I'm qualified to answer these questions, but I'm not an attorney. Good. All right, everybody, reach out. Let me know how we can help you out. Take care.